My friend here actually was saying that I guess it's the Wall Street WSJ. I believe that's probably the Wall Street Journal radio. He hasn't sent me the link to it yet. But if you ever do ask questions, you can ask it through Facebook, but the best way to do it is through our online. You'll get in the Facebook auto response on Facebook messages. You'll get a link to be able to submit a question where I can try and do more answers there. But this one I wanted to do real quick, so this is very simple, and I was already working on this topic. Morning that they're dispelling the myths that the flu vaccine cannot give you the flu since it's not a live virus. That is, according to we have to trust the pharmaceutical industry. So we basically have to trust the pharmaceutical industry, who are a bunch of liars. We have to trust liars that they're telling us that they're truly killing the virus. So doing that and trusting in the CDC, but again, we know that the CDC lies to us as well. If you'd like to reference that claim that I'm making here, that they are both liars, just look up like Pfizer, too big to nail. Feds found Pfizer, too big to nail. Quote that article online. You'll find out Pfizer lied to the government, lied to the doctors, and lied to the community, and thousands of people died because of it. And then on top of that, you can read about the CDC whistleblower William Thompson. We know that the CDC lies. In British Medical Journal is the CDC, or the CDC protecting the private good, not the public good, the private good. And you'll see a peer-reviewed medical article actually talking about how the CDC blatantly lies to doctors and the public. So we got to trust liars here. So set aside the fact that they're liars and they're corrupt and they're evil, and just let's play for an instance here that we got to trust their word. And so if it is a truly dead virus, and if they killed the virus or they broken it up, and then it's just antigens on the outside of the virus, particles, parts of the virus, that's what we're being injected with, not the whole virus. So if they're telling us the truth, then no, we would not be spreading it, unless we are somehow capable of, and granted I know that there may be a little bit of research out there saying we don't know whether this is a possibility or not, but it's not completely out of the possibility, theoretical possibility that we reassimilate these viral particles in our bloodstream and our cells, and then we can assimilate and create another virus out of it. We don't need to go there right now, but the reality is they're saying it's a dead virus, particulates or particles of that virus, therefore it's not a live virus, therefore it can't infect our cells and replicate. That's why they have to add adjuvants to it to stimulate the immune system, because the immune system would be like, the parts of the virus, dust it away, get rid of it, don't need to bring out the big guns, don't need to remember it because it's just particulate. So we just clear the system. So they have to add adjuvants, and adjuvants are harmful, just a side note there. But the reality is this: it doesn't shed in the way that we see, and we define shedding in terms of a live virus vaccine. So the nasal spray, that can shed because it is a live virus vaccine. And it can also inoculate your brain with a live virus and then cause encephalopathy. Yes, according to the research. So just so you all know that if you get in that nasal spray, it'll squirt up your nose. Guess what? You could actually be squirting it through one of the the thinnest areas of your blood-brain barrier, thus directly infecting your brain, and then ultimately having brain damage as a result of squirting a live virus up through your nose in one of the most susceptible areas of your brain, blood-brain barrier. Just something you should probably know before you accept that vaccine. So that one can shed. The injected virus with the needle, that one, no. The inactivated virus would not shed according to the definition of true shedding. Now, he is asking me, if that is the case, then why did the CDC say those getting the shot? And the CDC didn't say this, but the research that the CDC funded did say that those who were getting the shot, especially 2 years in a row, had an increased rate of shedding. Yes, of a live virus. Now, so how do we break this down so you understand the differences here? So I'll go back to the research study that he's probably referencing, and again, if I go real quick to show you just the titles of the article that I really wrote on it. CDC-funded study shows that vaccinated shed 6.3 times more flu virus just by breathing. That is a true statement, but shedding in the terms of being given a virus by the vaccine and then shedding the virus vaccine, or the vaccine virus, That's not the same thing as we're talking about in the study. And again, I wanted to quote the study. I didn't want to make up my own opinion. I didn't want to say something that wasn't actually in the research study. And again, you will see in this research study right here, we'll find that the people, okay, so here it is. In the adjusted models, we observed a 6.3 times more aerosol shedding among cases with vaccination in the current and previous season compared to those having no vaccination in those 2 seasons. So the unvaccinated were shedding flu virus. So shedding in this study's terminology is just meaning they weren't given a virus by a vaccine and shedding that virus. They were shedding just a naturally occurring influenza virus. They were naturally infected, and then naturally you would shed that virus. Any virus, bacteria that you come in contact with and then you can spread, you are shedding that in essence. Again, we've kind of like, I feel like in society right now, and in the truth be told, community, whether you're anti, pro, or safe, the reality is shedding seems to want to say that shedding only occurs. That term can only be used when you get a virus from a vaccine, then you shed that one. But you would shed a naturally occurring virus or bacteria. So in this terms, you're shedding a natural infection virus. So you're shedding that flu virus. So that being said, yes, they will shed more. Okay, the association of the current and prior year vaccination with an increased shedding of influenza A. So you'd be shedding more influenza virus if you're vaccinated. And especially aerosolization being the best way to actually transmit the virus. So just a side note for people out there who are quote-unquote pro-vaccine, or people on the fence, or people who want to say that, hey, if you're not getting the vaccine, you're not protecting others, and that's selfish of you, and that getting them, we won't go there. I could have gone somewhere. Anyways, but the reality is this, so people who want to say that, you got to get it to protect other people, the reality is this study right here, combined with many other research studies and basically any of the other legitimate research studies out there, we're finding in one of the most recent studies, again, showing that our children are more sick, and there was no decrease in flu. But if you did get the vaccine, you're more likely to spread 6.3 times more virus. So the total viruses. So let's say that I caught the flu this season and I don't take the vaccine. Let's disregard the fact that I might use elderberry tincture elixir. I sell it on my website if you guys want a good one with reishi mushroom. I love that stuff. So wilddoc.com, get you some. Anyways, but let's say I don't use that, or I don't drink honeysuckle tea, or munch on some honeysuckles that are still blossoming in this fall season right now here in Tennessee. Those things that block virus infection of our healthy cells, can rescue our healthy cells, can really kill the virus themselves. Those herbs kill the virus. So cool. I know, right? God would be so genius to do something like that. Medicine tries to mimic or try and create their own, but it really doesn't work out so much, and then we end up with people walking around after they're vaccinated spreading more of the virus. So let's say that I didn't do all that stuff and I spread 100 viruses. So let's say I'm breathing out. Every time I take a breath in and I breathe out, some viruses get breathed out. I'm breathing that virus out. That's aerosolization. Now if I go snooze and sneeze and sneeze and cough. If I sneeze and I cough, guess what? Or if I talk and spit, that mucus could potentially have virus in it. But here's the issue. When you sneeze, you see these large droplets, and you do aerosolization when you sneeze. But mind you, in this research study, and in the link you get, in the link that I posted on the comments here on Facebook, in this live feed, it's got 2 studies in it that are 2 blog posts that I did. One, a video of me dispelling the lies by Associated Press, Time Magazine, which Time Magazine ironically took the video down because their article down that Associated Press had. You can still read the one about Associated Press, and you can still see on Time Magazine's archives that article where they tried to prove me wrong. They tried to fact check me. I fact checked the researcher with his own research, and what an imbecile, you know what I mean? Like, you wrote your research, and then you said it was necessary coughing and sneezing, but in your research study, it actually said coughing and sneezing wasn't necessary for transmission. It wasn't important. So But these large particulates, these large droplets that we create when we sneeze and cough, they're large and they're heavier than air, so they fall to the earth, they fall to the ground, they fall to the tabletop, the doorknobs, whatever. So you have to touch that. And when you touch that, you're more than likely not going to breathe that in, those particulates generated through large droplets. You're going to touch it, you might wipe it on your nose like that, or eat something, and then you ingest it. But luckily for a small percentage of us, because the reality is when we test microbiome in the guts, which we do in this office, when we do testing on microbiome, it's unreal how messed up people's guts are, especially if you've been on antibiotics, those things. So you got to rebuild the gut if you want to be fully healthy. But luckily for the majority of my patients that we're working with them to heal their gut, the majority of people that understand the importance of good bacteria in our diet, good bacteria, not taking antibiotics, not using soaps that are antibacterial, and killing all the good bacteria in our stomach. Luckily for us, we have good bacteria that helps shield us. We have a mucosal membrane immunity that we're able to shield against that virus getting into our body and infecting us. So we have that protective barrier when we ingest those particulates, those droplets from sneezing and coughing from infected people. So, we have that protective barrier. But when aerosolization occurs, when we aerosolize just by breathing, you don't see these large droplets, they don't fall to the earth. No, it's aerosolized, so it goes into the air and it'll float there. They've even shown it for hours and hours later. So the best way, and then the other problem with the aerosolization that I need to mention, and why it's the best way to cause more infectious disease, yes, the flu vaccine will be causing more people to get sick, because those who are vaccinated are spreading 6.3 times. So if I was only spreading 100 viruses via breathing, the vaccinated people, according to this research study, that you can read more about on wilddoctor.com and get a little bit more understanding of this beyond what I'm talking about here, you would see that they would be spreading 630 viruses. Folks, 630 viruses versus 100 would go into the atmosphere into this room. These are just numbers I'm using for simplistic purposes. And when it's aerosolized in higher concentrations, you're not just touching it and then ingesting it down through your digestive tract and your mucosal membranes, like your sinuses and stuff like that. You're actually going to be breathing that in. And as it's in the air, it's such light particulates. It's aerosolized. It's spreading in the air, staying and lingering in there, and then it's so small, we breathe it in and it goes into our lungs. Well, guess what? We don't have the same type of microbiome in our digestive tract. We have a little bit of mucosal membrane immune system and protection there in our lungs. But we need to be able to transfer oxygen molecules, air molecules through our lungs. So it's literally these cells are right there ready to go to absorb stuff and bring it into our system. So guess what? The best way to transmit the illness is get your vaccine and transmit to others, get your vaccines, and then spread 630% more virus. 6.3 times more, 630% more virus into the air that'll linger there. So then hours after you leave a facility or as you walk down the hallway, see if you sneeze in the hallway of the hospital in the waiting room, you know what, that might fall to the ground and it'll just stay localized, but if you're breathing 630% more virus into the air while you're just standing in the waiting room of the hospital or doctor's office, you're filling that airspace with virus that is going to stay there in the air, and then everybody else coming into that building or room is going to breathe your aerosolized virus that you generated more of because your immune system was weakened. You're going to infect so many more people. Why do you think they just announced that last season more people got the flu, more people died from the flu? We just don't understand it. I will be detailing that in a video on YouTube here in the near future. We're going to shoot that video this week. I also got another video coming out about how the maker of a hexavalent vaccine, which was causing one-fifth of children to have a serious adverse event and killed many of them, how it's all in their own safety studies, how it causes harm and kills children. I'm going to be talking about how they hid data that their vaccine was causing SIDS and how they're willing to buy prostitutes for doctors. So YouTube, Make sure you're subscribing if you want that one right away to share with other people. But again, so we're not shedding the virus that the vaccine gives us. We're shedding the naturally occurring viruses that are circulating, and those who are vaccinated are shedding more of the naturally occurring viruses in the atmosphere that supposedly the vaccine is supposed to prevent, which, again, it didn't. Actually, people were spreading more if they're vaccinated. So this whole argument that we need people to get vaccinated, otherwise they're selfish, wanting to only protect themselves or just afraid of needles, blah, blah, blah. No, actually, I just don't want to be the person who is more infectious to everyone else around me. And as a public servant, as a public health care physician, taking care of many children in my office, those types of things, guess what? If I was getting the vaccine and then I was spreading this more, I'm literally the person who's making the patients sick who are supposed to be coming to me for health and protection and stronger immune systems. So think about this in the medical way. If a doctor goes and gets their vaccine every year, or a nurse, and then they're walking around without masks on, and they're spreading 630% more viruses as they breathe, and that's the best way to transmit it to their patients and everybody around them, they're just filling the office up with virus, and then their patients are coming in and be like, hey, doc, we want to come in here for a well baby check. We want to get little Jimmy vaccinated, and, it's 2 months vaccines, and I know it's 6 months with the flu vaccine, and this doctor's sitting here spreading the illness on this well baby check. No wonder the science says that 700,000 additional infections are caused by people going and taking their little babies for their well baby checks. Yeah, that's another research study. I won't link to that one in this one, but the reality is you could find it if you wanted to do your due diligence on PubMed, and you'd find it. So so hopefully that has spread some light, non-infection, and hopefully it helps stop the spread of infectious diseases by people understanding what's actually taking place. So to answer it very simply, yes, there would be. I haven't listened to the radio show, so I don't know what other stuff they've said. But the reality is, no, you're not technically spreading the virus that they injected into you, but you would be spreading the naturally occurring virus that the vaccine didn't protect you against, according to the research. Again, read the research study that I've given you, and the links are in the wilddoc.com blogs, and you can read a ton of research on the flu vaccine, how it actually causes you to be more sick, would spread more illness. And, so you're not shedding the virus given to you through the vaccine, you're spreading the naturally occurring virus. So that's what it means when you use the term shedding in that sense, unless we're talking about the live virus nasal spray vaccine. So, wife texts you, and my wife says, I'm going to freak out. They're not wanting to take a nap, even drive around extra. It's like they are on crack. I give up. Going to be a fun evening. Sorry, babe. See, I get to do these types of videos and have fun with my audience and stuff, and then my wife she gets to stay home with our little babies, Magnolia and Amos, and can't love my wife enough for that. All the hard work she does with the kids. So, but moms, give me a thumbs up if you can relate to the fact that you're like, can't your kids just take a nap already? Please take a nap.